Hey guys, my name is Britt Nicole. Welcome back to my channel, and today we're going to be doing my May and Hikeathon wrap up. So in the month of May, I only technically had 2 weeks before Hikeathon started. Hikeathon was a 15-day readathon that took place May 17th through the 31st. I did really good. So when I was trying to figure out how I was going to tell you guys about my wrap up, I decided I'm going to tell you guys the books that I read in the first part of May, and then we'll go into Hikeathon challenges that I accomplished or didn't accomplish, and then the books that I read for Hikeathon. So I only read 3 books in the first 2 weeks of May, and those 3 books are Escaping from Houdini, Capturing the Devil, and Ruined by Amy Tintera. So let's go into these 2. So I finally read Escaping from Houdini. This is the 3rd book in Stalking Jack the Ripper series by Carrie Maniscalco, and this takes place right where we left off from Hunting Prince Dracula, which is the 2nd book. And they're on this like type of cruise ship going from London to America, and they're going to America to help her uncle with this bodies turning up. There's this like traveling circus going on, and every night the traveling circus goes on, a body is coming up dead, or a body is being found. And I don't know, like I really like the first 2 books, like Stalking Jack the Ripper and Hunting Prince Dracula, so much that I was very infatuated with them. This one kind of lacked luster a little bit. I'm still giving it 4 stars, but it played on the romance a little bit more than the first 2 books do, and I really did like the circus aspect of it. It just, I don't know, something was missing. And so I'm gonna probably say the same thing from Capturing from the Devil. So we pick up Capturing from the Devil exactly where we left off from Escaping from Houdini. We are finally in America, and a few people are turning up missing, but no bodies have been found just yet, so there's not much for them to do, and they really play up on the romance. But again, this one wasn't my favorite of the series. I love the first 2 so much, but I'm still giving it 4 stars. I still really enjoyed it in whole, but it just wasn't my favorite book. Then I decided to reread Ruined by Amy Tintera. This is about a girl who pretends to be a princess from another country, and she actually kills that princess so she can act like her, and she has to marry the enemy kingdom, and there's 3 different kingdoms at war in this book, and this book is so good. It's very royalty. The love interest in it is so good. Absolutely love this book, and I'm so glad I got to reread it. It was like reading a favorite book. I gave this book 5 stars. I loved it so much, and I'm so glad that I finally reread this. Okay, so now we're gonna go into my Hikeathon wrap up. So before I tell you guys what books I read in Hikeathon, which there is a lot, I really got in a reading mood, and I used Hikeathon as doing tons of audiobooks, and I read some new favorites and I reread some old favorites. So let's go into the challenges. Challenge number 1 was to listen to an audiobook while walking or hiking, and I did accomplish that. That was really simple and easy to do. Challenge number 2 was to do 5 hikes or walks per week, and I think I accomplished that. Week 1 I did 16.01 miles. Week 2, I did 31.06 miles, and then in total, I did 47.0 miles in the 15-day readathon. I had such a good time doing all this that filming this wrap up the day after Hikeathon has finished. And I'm tired, guys. I'm really tired. I'm used to walking a lot, but I really put it into overdrive to get some of my hikes in, and I enjoyed it so much, and my 2 puppies are very tired. I did vlog those 2 weeks, guys, so go over and check out my Hikeathon 2021 playlist. I have all my vlogs and my TBR posted in that playlist. Then challenge number 3 was to read a survival book, and I did accomplish that. Challenge number 4 was to do an exercise for every 5 chapters that you read. Week 1, I did accomplish that. It was very simple for me. Week 2, because I kind of kicked up the hiking into high gear and also had work and other things going on and trying to read, I didn't accomplish that. So I'm calling this like 50-50. Week 1 I did, week 2 I didn't. Then the last challenge number 5, is to read a book set in nature, and I did accomplish that. So guys, let's now go into the books that I read during Hikeathon, because there is a lot. I read Avenged by Amy Tintera. This is the 2nd book in that Ruined trilogy that I was just talking about. So you pick up right where Ruined lets off on a huge cliffhanger into Avenged, and this could be considered like a book set in nature because it's mostly about them traveling through nature to get to different kingdoms. It's not really ever set truly inside, and it's also like the time period also. Yeah, I would consider this like a book set in nature, and I'm giving this 4 stars. The next book I read was Gilded Serpent. This is by Danielle Jensen. This is the 3rd book in her Dark Shores quartet, I think it's going to be, and this Like, at the beginning of this was very slow. The audiobook is really good, and I highly recommend picking the audiobook up. So we're finally getting all 4 of the points of view from the first 2 POVs in the first book, Dark Shores, and the second 2 POVs in the second book, Dark Skies, all wrapped into this one, and it was so fun. I did kind of find myself gravitating to 3 of the main characters more than one of them, and then by the end of it I was gravitating to the other one. The romance and love story and the dynamic between the 2 couples was really interesting, and getting to see, because they all kind of like are going after different goals, then all their goals kind of combines into one. I love this so much, and I can't wait for the next one to come out. I know it's going to be a while before the next one comes out, but honestly, I'm giving this 4.5 stars. I did give it, I think, 5 stars on Goodreads, because I don't feel like 4 stars is good enough to explain how much I loved Gilded Serpent, but I also don't think it was like a new favorite book. This was just really good, and kind of sad that I finished it so quickly, but in the same sense, I'm kind of glad that I know what has happened, and I can't wait for the next one to come out. So I decided to take a break from the fantasy world, especially from Gilded Serpent. Such high like fantasy, and that book that I decided to pick up, Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating by Christina Lauren, and I'm giving this 4 stars. This was really cute. It's about a girl who's kind of more artsy, and she's a teacher, and then a guy that she met in college years later, they have come back in contact, and she is best friends with his sister, and they decide to become best friends because he's going through a big thing with his relationship and dealing with some work stuff and things like that, and then she's got big opportunity to become a teacher at a new school, and they become best friends, and it's really cute. And I don't know, I just really enjoy Christina Lauren's writing so far that I've done. I haven't done like her Beautiful Bastard series, but I really love her like standalone contemporaries. And saying that, I did pick up The Honey Don't List by Christina Lauren. This picks up, we have 2 main characters who are in a police station giving a deposition on what has happened, and then you kind of go back into the scenes, and we have 2 characters who like build houses and build furniture that have a Netflix series coming out and a book tour coming out, and the 2 main characters are these 2 people's assistants, and they're trying to help them navigate the world of being a romantic couple on Netflix. And in this book, where everything is not as it seems, and actually the 2 main characters for this Netflix series hate each other. They are married, but they really hate each other, and these 2 assistants have to navigate the world of trying to keep Netflix and the book tour going, because they do go on a tour in this, but also navigating like they hate each other, and they can't let everybody know that they actually hate each other in real life. This was really cute and a really surprise ending that I did not see coming, and I really like this 4 stars. So a book that I've already unhauled, I finally read The Diviners by Libra Bray. This was very 1920s slang, and I loved getting to see Manhattan from the point of view of a 1920s girl who is kind of well off, but there's so much magic in this, like creepy magic, and I kind of wish I would have waited until October to read this, but in the same sense, I don't think I would have liked it as more. I enjoyed some of the characters, and I enjoyed some of this stuff going on in this book, but this story was so drawn out and took so long to explain, and getting to know all the characters, that the ending was done in like 2 pages, and I really didn't like that. Like, it was too quick for how long and how detailed the first book was, that I have no interest in picking up the second book because it just lackluster to me. But I'm so glad that I finally read this, because it's been on my TBR for a very long time. I'm giving it 3 stars. I'm not going to talk too much about it, but I did like the 1920s stuff because I really love 1920s era. And I loved getting to see Manhattan and like the parties and the speakeasies and things like that. But it just, something was just going on. And there's murders, and it's a ghost story also. So I like that, but it just, I don't know, something was missing, and I can't put my finger on it. So I think I've already said, but 3 stars. Then I read Between Burning Worlds by Jessica Brody and Jodi Randell. And actually read the first half of this book in the first part of May, and the second half of this book in Hikeathon, because I wanted to finish it off. So technically I read this book in the month of May. This is the second book in the Sky Without Stars. I think it's going to be a trilogy, and it picks up pretty much exactly where Sky Without Stars ends. And we have one person who is in prison on the moon. We have one person who's come to terms with what happened in Sky Without Stars. And then, I don't know, like, I don't want to go into this too much, but this is very sci-fi, dystopian era. The technology in this is really neat. The government empire is really neat in trying to control the third estate, because this is pretty much like the first estate, second estate, and third estate. It almost has like a Hunger Game vibes when it comes to that part, but they don't have like the games going on per se. They do have this like ascension thing where they pick 1 or 2 people to ascend from the third state into the first state to kind of show that anybody can ascend to anything, but pretty much they're just the first estate, and the government is manipulating the third estate, and the third estate is in poverty levels and barely anybody has any food. It's just really good, and I'm so glad that I finally finished this, and I can't wait for the third one to come out, so I'm giving it 4.5 stars. Sorry guys, the train came through, so if the camera angle changed, I do apologize, but let's go on to the next book that I read, which was Twisted Palace by Erin Watt. This is the third book in her Paper Princess series, and this series is very cute, messed up in a good way and bad ways, and I absolutely love the first 2 books, and this was a reread for me, so I'm glad that I've reread these. And I don't know, this series is just a lot going on. So in the first book, we follow a main character who is stripping to put herself through school, through high school, because her mother just died and her dad is dead, or she really didn't even know her dad. And then all of a sudden this big fancy guy who's got tons of money kind of swoops in and tells her that he is her guardian now and takes her in as his ward. And he's got like 4 or 5, probably I think 5 boys, and they all make her life a living hell, and she ends up falling for one of them. So we follow their story into the first one, the second one, and into the third one is our big finale. And it was really good, but also very messed up too. I love this series so much, and so I'm giving it 4 stars. Then I picked up Allied by Amy Tintera. This is the third book in Ruin trilogy, and it picks up right where Avenge left off, and where Avenge left off was another big cliffhanger. So it was really fun to finally get like a conclusion on this. I'm so glad that I reread a lot of books this month, this one being one of them. So I'm giving this 4 stars. And then an unexpected, I'm not gonna say new favorite book, but an unexpected book that I really loved was A Touch of Gold by Annie Sullivan. This is a King Midas story. If you guys don't know what King Midas is, he asked for the ability to turn anything to gold with his touch, but this is a retelling. So King Midas at the beginning of this does have that ability, but somehow his daughter gets the ability, which is really interesting, or she gets cursed with a certain type of touching gold ability, and her skin looks gold from the curse that she got because of her dad, and like that's all explained in this. But this mainly takes part on a ship, and we come in contact with pirates and mermaids and different types of gods, and that was really just not what I thought this book was going to be at all. And I immensely enjoyed this. Like, I think I did this book in one day because I couldn't stop. The audiobook was absolutely great, so I highly recommend the audiobook. But I got to get the second one as soon as possible because this ends on a pretty big cliffhanger, and I cannot wait to get to the next one. But yeah, I'm giving this like 4.5 stars because, again, I don't think 4 stars is good enough for this, but I think 5 stars is a little overkill, so 4.5. So the next 3 books I don't physically own. I read Tarnished Crown. This is the novella set 3.5 after the Paper Princess main part of the trilogy. So I don't think I explained this too well in my vlog, so I'm going to try to explain it to you guys right now. So we have 1, 2, and 3, which is Paper Princess, Broken Prince, and Twisted Palace. This follows 2 different points of view. The main girl that we meet at the beginning of the book, and then one of the main guys. And we kind of follow their story and dealing with the royal family. Then Tarnished Crown is the novella of the older brother's love story, love story with a girl named Savannah, like before and after, in between everything that's there he's dealing with from the first book. And it's really good, and it was really short, sweet. I read this on ebook. It's only like 168 pages, so I'm giving it 3 stars. I enjoyed getting to see Gideon's point of view, which is the main brother. And then the next 2 books that I did was Fallen Heir and then Cracked Kingdom. Fallen Heir and Cracked Kingdom are technically the 4th and 5th book in Paper Princess series, but it follows a different brother from the brothers from the main 3. And his name is Easton, and he comes in contact with a girl from his school, and they're kind of like hate, love, romance. But Easton is doing drugs and having tons of sex, and like he's just very much still a child, and he doesn't understand why this other girl doesn't really like him, that all girls like him, and coming to terms with like he needs to be a better person. I didn't enjoy Fallen Heir and Cracked Kingdom as much as I enjoyed the first original trilogy, but I'm so glad that I finally read it. Fallen Heir was a reread for me, where Cracked Kingdom was the first time I have read it. The audiobooks are really good for all of these. Well, I didn't do Tarnished Crown on audio, but I still highly recommend picking up the audio or picking these up. But I'm giving 3.75 to Fallen Heir and Cracked Kingdom. They're good. They're just, I didn't like his point of view as much as I liked the original trilogy. So guys, that is my May and Hikeathon wrap up. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'm so sorry this wrap up was a little bit longer. I usually try to do like a month wrap up and then like my readathon wrap ups, but because of how it ran, I just decided to combine it. Remember to like and subscribe to my channel. I do have more videos coming out soon that I've been planning. We also have Mermaid Marathon coming up at the end of June, so look forward to seeing that TBR. But my name is Britt Nicole. Thank you guys for liking and subscribing. I look forward to seeing everybody soon in my next video. Bye!